A significant number of academicians from universities and other tertiary institutions gathered at Kololo Independence Grounds to commemorate the 20 years of the National Council for Higher Education's existence. Established by an Act of Parliament in 2003, the National Council for Higher Education started with 4 public universities and 7 private universities. It now proudly boasts accreditation for 265 higher learning institutions, including universities and other degree awarding establishments. During his speech at the event, President Yoweri Kagutta Museveni urged education managers to ensure that students grasp the basics and expressed his disappointment in the prevalence of superstitions over natural sciences.
My suggestion is that when we are managing education, we should not mystify it. Go to the basics and make sure that our students really understand the basics. The problem of Africa was remaining in superstition when other parts of the world had moved a bit in the area of natural science. They had understood natural science better than us.
While the government has advised higher education institutions to focus on offering science and technology programs, many faculties of engineering and architecture face a shortage of staff. President Museveni has promised to address this issue.
Professor Katunguka, on the issue of if there are scientists, they must be paid for the government universities. They must be paid what they will be paid in the private sector, our scientists.
The First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, emphasized that going forward, National Council for Higher Education should ensure that program quality, especially in science education, remains consistent.
That NCHE should address now is the quality of higher education being offered in these institutions, especially the science and technology programs. Therefore, NCHE must ensure that the programs and courses offered in both public and private higher education institutions do not vary in quality, because sometimes we tend to give excuses if the quality of some education institutions are not good. We start to give excuses of the fact that that is a private university. But that should not make any difference in our universities, whether public or private.
Over the past 20 years, National Council for Higher Education has developed a quality assurance framework for universities and other tertiary institutions, which is used to assess quality and standards.
In place a higher education quality assurance framework for universities and other tertiary institutions. The relevant instruments and regulations are used by NCHE to guide and monitor the performance of institutions. But institutions also use them for self-assessment.
Despite the growth in higher education institutions, the sector has not progressed as expected. The National Council for Higher Education has also expressed concerns about its limited power to enforce decisions, such as directing an institution to close.
In the Act that the National Council can enforce its regulations. We can recommend that the university should close and it will remain open. National Council does not have the mandate or the capacity to enforce some of its regulations. You can revoke a license of a university or an institution, and these people refuse and continue operating.
Celebrations, which were launched in March 2023, are held under the theme National Council for Higher Education, Transforming Higher Education in Uganda. I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lugemwa in Kampala.